Hey, where'd all the veggies go? You think they got stolen? Wasn't the shed locked?
It's Chloe who didn't lock it. Logan, my father-in-law, noticed that vegetables we'd harvested were missing from the storage shed. Turns out the shed was unlocked, and now everyone's on a thief hunt. My husband Gabriel and his family point fingers at me, but I swear I locked it. But then...
How stubborn can you be? Admit your fault. You're not a part of this family. Get out.
Without hearing me out, Logan kicks me out. Little did they know, their lives were about to take a turn for the worse. I'm Chloe, a woman in my late 30s, married. My husband was my classmate and the second son in a farming family. I've taken over the farming duties from aging parents-in-law Logan and Scarlett. Farming is tough to manage and is heavily affected by the weather. Even after hard work, some years don't pay off, making the income unstable. But my college agricultural studies and experiences make it enjoyable. After turning 30, our income began to stabilize, and we started making improvements. Our reputation slowly began to spread. We even got some direct contract proposals from restaurants. But then my husband's health took a bad turn. At first, he just brushed it off, saying,
Well, I'm just tired. You're worrying too much.
But he started to complain about severe pain, so I forced him to go to the hospital. The diagnosis was terminal cancer. Moreover, we're told that his condition is terminal and hard to treat. I wanted to bring him back to the home he knew so well for his final days. But he passed away before we even got permission from the doctor. Living with Logan and Scarlett hadn't exactly been smooth sailing. I'd even considered moving out. But no matter our differences, the pain of losing someone dear is the same for all of us. Above all, this house is filled with memories of my late husband, and there are the plants we've specially bred. I decide to continue living with them. Maintaining the farm becomes difficult unless it's sold or leased. Logan and Scarlett probably see some use for me yet, and that's fine. Until the memorial service for my husband was over, life with Logan and Scarlett had been surprisingly peaceful. Before we knew it, the city-dwelling Gabriel and his wife came back to their family home. This was surprising, considering they didn't even show up for my late husband's funeral, who also happened to be Gabriel's brother. Family feuds weren't uncommon, but it was shocking to hear that they'd been estranged. Missing the funeral wasn't forced, so I didn't hold it against them. How you honor someone's passing is a personal choice. I'd heard that Gabriel and his wife had always been distant from their in-laws, my parents-in-law. In fact, I can only recall meeting them once or twice. Gabriel had always looked down on his farming parents, bragging about his city life. It seemed he felt the same way about my late husband, who had taken over the farming duties. Logan and Scarlett, the parents, had always complained that our eldest son Gabriel is so irresponsible, even after getting married. Now, without any warning, Gabriel and his wife showed up back at home.
We're having some issues, so we decided to move back in,
they announced. Apparently, their unstable income in the city was catching up with them. Without asking Logan or Scarlett for permission, they started moving their stuff into Gabriel's old room. And they even said,
"Hey, the room my brother used is vacant, right? We're making that Lily's room."
that was the room my spouse and I had been using. If they were to use that room, it would mean that I wouldn't have a place to call my own anymore. I was hoping that Logan and Scarlett would say something to Gabriel and his spouse, who suddenly moved in. But no, they kept quiet. Maybe they didn't want to get involved in any complications. So, in the end, I was booted out to a cramped, musty room that had been used as storage.
"I'm going to continue my brother's last will as his elder,"
Gabriel announced. He said farming these days was easy thanks to modern machinery. He said that farming would be easier than any job he'd ever done, clearly underestimating the work involved. It became obvious that he wasn't interested in helping me. He wanted to take control and seize all the rights for himself. Gabriel was more cunning than I had thought. He started to spread rumors that I was talking behind Logan and Scarlett's back, and he didn't care whether I knew it or not. Sometimes, loud enough for me to hear, he would say,
"Chloe says taking care of an old, inactive man is annoying. She wishes he'd disappear soon."
or,
"Chloe wants to cut down on the food portions for Logan and Scarlett because she's getting greedy."
apparently, my in-laws Logan and Scarlett took Gabriel's words at face value. The relationship I'd built up with them over the years began to fracture. Scarlett took over meal preparations. She even told me, "You don't have to cook anymore, Chloe. Who knows when you might tamper with the food?" And so I was banned from entering the kitchen. When the meals were served, I noticed my portion was missing a dish, or I was given soup with no ingredients. While everyone was enjoying their drinks, I was served only bottled water. I was also told to clean the bath last at night. Scarlett said, "Taking a shower this late is a nuisance to the neighbors," although the nearest house is a 10-minute walk away. I didn't think it would cause any trouble, but then I realized it was another one of Logan and Scarlett's schemes. I wondered why everyone was taking long baths tonight. Turns out that was also part of their harassment toward me. Then one day, after these blatant acts of harassment became almost daily, a theft occurred.
"Who was the last one to leave the warehouse yesterday?" "It was Chloe. I saw her."
Gabriel claimed.
"Chloe, this is a serious crime. Because of you, our harvest for sale is ruined."
Gabriel, Logan, and Scarlett quickly blame me, assuming I forgot to lock up. I'm positive I locked it. There's no way I could forget something like that. Yet, the barn door was cleanly unlocked with no signs of forced entry. Inside, everything was trashed, and the goods were unsellable. Worse, our specially bred produce that sells well at the high-end market was missing. I didn't do it. I locked up tight.
"So, you helped the thief, didn't you?"
They're claiming I locked it initially, but then helped someone steal the stuff? That's absurd. I didn't miss the moment when Gabriel's lips twitched slightly when watching Logan blame me. I instantly realized Gabriel set this up. He probably snuck in after I left and staged it to look like a theft. To haul away the harvest, at least a pickup truck would be needed. There should be tire marks or traces in the truck bed, I think. And checking the dash cam should reveal who used the vehicle. But if I've thought of this, Gabriel probably has too, and tampered with the evidence. What should I do? It's frustrating to be accused this way. I don't have any allies here.
Chloe has been getting ahead of herself lately. She's arrogant and lacks humility. Her basic management skills are even sloppy. She should step away from the farm and leave everything to our eldest son.
Know your place, you freeloading leech. The moment our son came back, you became useless. Get lost. Don't think you're getting free food and vegetables here. I'll consider all the meals you've eaten as a settlement fee. They yelled and screamed. Free meals, they say. It's not like veggies grow on their own once you plant the seedlings. Lily, who helps less than Logan or Scarlet, sure has a lot to say. Gabriel may voice his opinions, but he doesn't understand the essence of farming. He thinks if there are mechanized tools, everything naturally grows until harvest. I wonder where they get the confidence to think they can manage without me. I don't need to put up with them, even if they're going to these lengths to kick me out. Fine, I'll leave, but the vegetable seedlings currently growing are special ones my husband and I improved. Please let me stay until their harvest is complete. What? You plan on eating the veggies for free until then?
Let Chloe handle the harvest. She says she wants to do all the work herself. Let her, and we'll just reap the benefits.
After I signed the agreement to move out, there wasn't any noticeable harassment for several months leading up to the harvest. Lily kept insisting it was a waste to feed me, but Gabriel managed to calm her down, saying it would be a problem if I fainted before the harvest. As promised, I moved out of Logan and Scarlett's home after the harvest. Gabriel thought he'd simply sell what I harvested and make a good profit. This year had good weather, so a bountiful harvest was expected. However, the actual revenue was at best half of the usual annual profit. It turns out most of the transactions were even less than half. The family was outraged and couldn't understand why. That's when they heard from a buyer.
We were buying because we knew Chloe. We even paid a little extra because we knew she was going through a tough time.
Gabriel and his wife came to me to clarify this. I had been building a brand for our produce along with my late husband. Although my husband passed away before we could achieve our dreams, I'd kept at it, and things were finally picking up. He also had connections from his college days and through friends, which provided additional avenues for sales beyond just the agricultural cooperatives. This included exclusive contracts with restaurants. He had never mentioned any of this to his family. The reason was simple. Those deals existed because he and I were the ones growing the vegetables with so much care and attention. We knew from the start that those relationships wouldn't mean anything if the produce came from anyone else. It might have seemed easy to you, but the family started profiting because of the hard work and connections of me and my late husband. This is the natural result of ousting me, I said. Gabriel and his wife gritted their teeth in frustration. Then Lily noticed something. Wait a minute, how could you start farming right away after being kicked out? Farming tools were still scattered around the entrance. They'd arrived unexpectedly, so I hadn't had time to clean up. The profits increased because I expanded the farmland. Didn't you realize that? It's impossible to make that much just from the lands the family owns. Land neglect is a serious issue in farming. If you neglect it, it quickly becomes barren, and it's not easy to rejuvenate the soil for quality produce. Local farmers had approached my late husband about using their farmland. They said they would help as much as possible. So we made a deal to rent the land and paid a portion of our harvest earnings as rent. Once the Gabriel couple returned, they started openly harassing me and word spread among the local farming community. It all started when Scarlett, who believes the lies Gabriel spread about me, went around the neighborhood complaining that I was treating her and her husband as nuisances. But those who knew about my husband's and my dedication to farming didn't believe Scarlett's stories. In fact, some were even worried about the tension between me and my in-laws. Then came the fake theft incident. One of the farmers who knew the situation offered to sell us his land and house at a reasonable price. The soil quality of the offered land was significantly better than other rental lands, making it ideal for farming. So I gratefully accepted the offer. I've already secured the improved seeds and seedlings my husband and I worked on, which means there's no need for me to put up with living at Logan and Scarlett's place. Out of the blue, the Gabriel couple demanded the improved seeds and seedlings. Sure, I said. These are registered so we can sell them to you. What? After all the free veggies, now you want us to buy the seeds? How stingy. Gabriel lunged at me. As much as they yelled, no one was around to be disturbed or to help. Knowing this, the Gabriel couple wreaked havoc. They swung farming tools around, threatening to destroy our modest home. But as it turns out, farming tools are heavy. Lily, who likely never held one before, couldn't handle the weight and faltered. It was a laughably stupid scene, hard for me to keep a straight face. I inherited the ownership of the drones and agricultural equipment when my husband passed away, transferring them to my name. Ever since then, any additional equipment I've bought has also been in my name. However, when I was told to leave and complied, Gabriel insisted that I transfer the ownership of all the agricultural equipment and related machinery to him. I did as told, but never mentioned that there was still a loan outstanding. He never asked, so I never told. Anyone would check for an outstanding loan when changing the ownership of valuable items. Gabriel and his spouse's failure to do so was their own fault. At this point, even if they cry and panic about not knowing, I simply don't care. Gabriel rushed Lily, who couldn't stand anymore, into the car and drove back to his in-laws' house. Apparently, when they got home, Logan and Scarlett were puzzled with a demand letter in hand. Well, it was still only a demand letter. Logan and Scarlett's farm was drowning in debt. For the few years after my husband and I took over the farming, it was all about debt repayment and not running a deficit. Finally, we managed to pay off the debt, escape the red numbers, and start generating profit. Logan and Scarlett left all this responsibility to us. They never learned how to run a farm without losing money. By kicking me out, they're doomed to go back to their old ways of incurring more and more debt. And on top of that, the loan repayments start to crush them. They seem to try hard to hold on to the land, but the word seizure and lawsuit scared them into selling the house and land way below market value just to get some fast cash. That seemed to finish off the repayments. With the little money they had left, Logan, Scarlett, and the Gabriels moved into a rental apartment with thin walls. It was a studio with no dividers, so all four of them slept side by side. Their constant arguing led to numerous complaints from their neighbors. They now live in fear after being warned that the next disturbance would be reported. Logan and Scarlett, having no other skills besides farming, and not particularly good at that either, were working in a factory during the harsh graveyard shift given their advanced age. But they keep dozing off, can't learn their tasks, and eventually got fired. Now they're making ends meet by collecting and selling large waste items. As for Gabriel and his spouse, they were too naive for their age and got into illegal activities after being sweet-talked, only to be arrested by undercover cops. I heard rumors that after being evicted from his apartment for being a criminal, Gabriel is living somewhere out of cardboard boxes. As for me, a neighbor bought Logan and Scarlett's land and hired me to start farming on it again. That farmland is filled with memories of my late husband, so I'm saving money to buy it back one day. I've successfully found new business partners, and I have a feeling that my wish will come true sooner rather than later.